And this is our featured story. It's a very epic thing. But as we're talking about DC, I just want to talk about this one thing that kind of ties all together is The Rock. We're talking about Bautista. We got to talk about The Rock, the people's first action star from wrestling. So apparently, we talked about this yesterday a little bit, but Dwayne Johnson was pushing too hard. The executives at DC were saying for Black Adam to be the franchise and the main player. And this ties into the whole problems they've been having at DC, like we've been talking about. So apparently, The Rock was becoming very problematic where they weren't even sure what was going to happen because of him. And this is actually what they were saying about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Dwayne went around everyone, which didn't sit well. Johnson's relationship with Warner Brothers Discovery had begun wearing thin well before the premiere and subsequent disappointing box office results of Black Adam.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And then on top of that, when it came to actually producing, he had more things that he wanted from the studio.
Johnson had pushed for a producing credit on the animated film DC League of Super Pets. However, Johnson did little to promote the film despite asking to be a producer. Johnson also insisted on having a tequila bar at the New York premiere of Black Adam featuring his Trimana brand, despite the film being rated PG-13.
Apparently, they did not like that. And they just said his demands increased and the returns just weren't there, which might not have led to this role within the DC universe shrinking, but likely didn't help. So as we're talking about this, I think we just talk about this too. It's like, apparently...
First of all, really quickly, I'm sorry, Brian, I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't think there's any problem with him having a tequila bar at a premiere of a movie, whether it's PG-13 or not. There are going to be adults there. So I don't think that's a big deal. Everybody enjoys some of his tequila. So
especially because
I want to say that. That doesn't seem like a big problem, in my opinion.
Knowing him, it was
we go to Nickelodeon rap parties and they have open bars, do they not?
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing him, it was free too.
Warner Brothers, what are we, virgins over here? It's ridiculous.
It was probably free, but they were apparently really mad about it. And they were saying he was very demanding because he was going, like, if someone didn't like what he wanted to do, he would go to somebody else like, hey, this is what The Rock wants to do. And that's what they said before, Superman. Like, he wanted Superman in it. He was told over and over again no, until one of the execs said yes, and then it became an internal battle. So DC has been messed up for a while because of this. Honestly, free tequila doesn't sound bad. I bet it was free. It might have loosened people up, make them enjoy the movie so much and so much more than they would have.
It would have been crappy if he made them pay for his tequila. That would have been shitty.
That would have been.
But if he was giving tequila to have a tequila bar to promote his brand, I would be like, brava, bring it in.
Yeah. But everyone's talking about today about how he was a problem and that they saw this coming, even though the movie did well, they were really upset about it and worried what was going to happen because he was like, but I'm going to run the show pretty much, which is what he said. He said Black Adam's the new face pretty much of DC. He kept saying that. And so now you got all these personalities. This is what I want to talk about here. Like the big thing for today, you have these big personality actors that are like, I'm the shit. You can't do this without me. Right. And what does the studio do? A studio hires James Gunn and says, na, 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 na. Hey, goodbye. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like the fact that they had to kick him away and Ezra Miller is the same way. I think Ezra Miller has to go. I just don't see how you do this with this person that is problematic, that is not professional, apparently can't handle themselves on set either. Apparently we're causing more problems with timetables, being late, not being professional on set. All these things are red flags for any kind of producer. Why would you keep this person around? That's the question. Sabrina, if you were the producer, let's say you're, no, you know what? I said this to Jacob yesterday, so I'm going to say this back to you. You're James Gunn, right? And you hear about these problems with Ezra Miller, hear about these problems with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. What do you do, and how do you address these people, and how do you fire them, or would you keep them?
You're asking me this?
Oh, I thought you were asking Jake. You started asking me, and you said, no, I'm going to go to Jake because I asked you this yesterday.
No, I said I asked Jacob yesterday. That's what I meant.
Oh, you were very confusing because they're both named Jacob, by the way.
Yeah, that's the problem. We had Jacob yesterday. Yeah.
Thanks.
So what would you do,
Thanks for
Sabrina?
setting me up for failure. I don't appreciate
I thought there
it.
was a long dramatic pause you had there. You were really thinking about it, I
No.
thought.
You know me. I don't ever hesitate to open my mouth. So I think The Rock and Ezra Miller are two very different people, and I think comparing them is like comparing apples and oranges, and it's very insulting to Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who I loved in wrestling and also in acting, and he also seems like a really nice fucking dude. Um, I think he maybe got a little bit too big for his britches and kind of I think this Black Adam thing has been like a big deal for him. Like when he was a kid, it was like the only superhero that was like he could relate to. Like he thought it looked like him. He's always wanted to play this part. So maybe he got like a little too jazzed up there. I don't really see a problem with wanting to be a producer on a movie. All actors want to do that. It happens all the time. I don't really see a problem about the tequila bar. Like, maybe the Warner Brothers you shouldn't ever go over somebody and go to somebody else. That's shitty. It's just bad business and you shouldn't do it. I don't agree with that, but
Yeah, it doesn't
I
go
don't
over well.
I don't think I would be like I wouldn't personally fire The Rock from anything. But like that being said, what James Gunn is doing is recreating the DC universe, and it just doesn't include that. It's not like he's going to recast Black Adam. They're just not going to go that direction. They're going to do a
Yeah, they
new
don't have
Superman
any
movie with a new
plans.
Superman, a younger Superman. Like they're going younger. They're not going older. You know what I mean? Like it's just a different thing, and it's not like, oh, we don't like you as Black Adam. It's just we're going in a different direction, and we're still figuring stuff out. But that Black Adam Superman shit isn't gonna happen. Sorry, bro. You know what I'm
Sorry,
saying?
it's done.
Ezra Miller, on
Yeah,
the other hand, is a raging fucking lunatic, and obviously, you should probably not hire him. But I will also say he does play the Flash very well, and I
he
will
does.
also say that many actors in Hollywood are assholes and they don't show up on time and they're doing drugs in their trailer. They don't show up at all, or like you're waiting for 3 hours with 58,000 background set and like we're just waiting on this person. I'm not going to mention any names. And people still get hired. People are notoriously shitty on set and they still get hired all the time. So this is not him being shitty on set. I mean, yes, a little bit, but like it's him being shitty in his personal life. You know what I mean? Which I mean, I don't. If he's trying to induct people into a cult, I have a problem with that. I'm just saying, like, it's a fine line
It's,
because if
it's
he
not
gets mental help
good.
like he's supposed to, and becomes like he's one with himself again, and not screw loose situation, then I think he should be able to act again, and I think he plays the Flash really well. That being said, with what's going on right now with him, I mean, I probably would not have put him in another movie personally if I was a producer.
Yeah, I just think that it's one of those things where you just gotta like be like, okay, you're great as a part, but at the end of the day, it's a business. It's always show business, and that's what it comes down to. You can't have problematic people on set, and it happens too often. You're right, it does
All
happen,
the time.
and it's very unfortunate. And then what's the best part when you see someone that's been around for a long time, like Anthony Hopkins, and he comes on set, and he's a pro, and he's a nice person, and he tells and he's there talking to everybody, and it doesn't matter who you are. That's how it should be. But unfortunately, some people just don't look at it that way. They're in their own world, their own universe, and it's very unfortunate. And apparently, Ezra's in their own universe, and that's just what it is. And I mean,
Oh yeah, that's
you're
right.
a
His
great
pronouns are they. Good job,
they,
Brian. Way to
yeah,
go.
yeah. yeah,
I was
Ezra
like,
goes by
their own
they.
universe. What? Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And Jake, I don't know if you knew that, but Ezra goes by they. So Ezra is just like, I don't know what's happening inside Ezra's head and the whole prophet thing is kind of wild to me. I just think that when it comes down to business, show business, you got to look at what's best for the business and you got to be like, goodbye. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. And I do love Ezra's Barry Allen. Jake, did you see the Justice League movie with him as Barry Allen?
No.
As the Flash? He's like they're like one of the best people on there. Really, they're really funny, especially the Zack Snyder cut. But the problem is, again, professionalism. That's the one thing when you work on set, everybody. Jake knows this too. Like when he's putting people out there, if his people aren't pros and they're not good on set, they're not on time, you will not come back. You will not work, especially starting off. Now, when you get up here, sometimes that shit flies. It just does because you're up there. People just put up with it. But when you're starting off and you start off with that, there's so many people that can replace you, and it can kill your career. It can kill your agency or your managers. if you're sending people out there, casting directors, they send you out there, you do bad, it can hurt them. So they don't want to put people like that out there. It's problematic. You got to be good. You got to be professional. You got to go to work like it's another job. You do your best and you bust your ass. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's
And
only
Jake
so
knows
many
it.
bridges, and if you leave every single one smoking behind you, then, you're only going to, like you said, you're only going to get so far, because you need to build those relationships, and I would say this is true for 99% of the people, there are those out there that just get the role and then they're there, and then, but going back to like the Flash and Ezra playing that, and then The Rock playing the Black Adam character, is it the character and the show that's selling the tickets, or is it the actor playing the character that's selling the tickets?
That's the question.
So if the story's good enough, you don't need a high caliber actor or actress, I don't think. Like if the character and the story is written well enough, that's, anybody can do it. And if that sells itself, in my opinion. That's why books are still a thing. You can read a book that's an awesome book that will become a movie eventually, because the writing and the characters are so well developed that it doesn't matter who they are in real life. You can build a character in your head and then fit somebody to play that part. So it's, if somebody like this Ezra guy is, but who's the British dude who's like a prophet now too? He was in, forgetting Sarah Marshall.
He's a prophet? Russell Brand?
Russell
Brand. Yeah.
He's not a prophet.
He's kind of like, it's borderline with him.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't watched his stuff in a minute.
It's getting a little bit, I wouldn't say it's cultish, and he's never said anything that's made me think this is too far. But there are moments where I'm like,
Like, what are you doing,
buddy? It's like a tip up when you're ice fishing. The flag kind of goes bloop, and then you go check it. Yeah, and then you go check the hole, and there's no fish there. Yeah.
Do you think that's why he got banned from YouTube?
Russell Brand got banned from YouTube?
Yeah, he's on
blowing my mind.
He's on Rumble now because he was getting shut down on YouTube, so he moved over to Rumble, and that's been like his main platform now.
Yeah.
So maybe this is why.
I was like I wouldn't say an avid watcher of his YouTube, but for a while I was checking in often enough to where I could keep up with what was going on. And
I did a lot during COVID.
Yeah. So, and during that time, it was going back and forth very much between hard conspiracy versus just common sense, which he broke everything down into common sense so far, almost a nihilistic view, where it's like, what's the point in even caring at this point, because there's so many things that are messed up. Why? But it was, for a minute there, I was thinking, boy, he's pushing it. Like, it's getting to be a little bit like cultish,
Wow.
But I mean, I still like him, but he never punched anybody in the face. He never punched anybody in the face.
He's not breaking into people's houses.
Yeah, and he's never told anybody to be mean. He's never he's never called for violence. He's always just said, I don't know. It's crazy. But
Russell Brand.
Back to the
There's a lot to take in these days, apparently.
Yeah, but as far as being professional and showing up to work on time, and I think that's anybody who's an employer that's like the biggest thing. You could
Number one.
when I was working in the kitchens, somebody could show up without any skill whatsoever, but if they're professional, they're kind, and they show up on time, and they show a willingness to work, I will sit there and cut onions with you all day long, because it's nice,
Yeah,
but then if you got
a workhorse.
Yeah, that's but you have to be, you want that balance to where you're not like, you can't just be a robot,
Yeah.
But and being coming in as a big name actor and wanting to be a producer on something, there's an ego you need to check at the door, I think. You get to that point, you can probably make suggestions, and you might be listened to a little bit more at that point. taken into consideration. But to start throwing your weight around like this whole thing is because I'm here, I don't know if that's cool.
It leads to problems, and that's all that they've had in DC is problems.
Yeah.
So
I also wouldn't fire The Rock because I feel like I would get
either.
I would get the people's elbow, you know. But
I'd be afraid to get my ass kicked, you know.
I'd be scared. Yeah.
Also, I love The Rock, so I would think that you could just find a way to make it work, you know.
Yeah. Right.
The Brits take it with a stiff upper lip.
A lot of
sure.
a lot of actors are want to be producers on their stuff these days. Like it's really, really common. It's a lot more common than it used to be, especially on TV shows and stuff.
But we'll see what happens. You know, what will happen with DC. We'll see what happens with The Rock. We'll see if he ever comes back. We'll see with this whole new
The Rock's
DC
career isn't going anywhere.
Gunverse.
He's not going to be Black Adam, but his career's not going anywhere.
He might go to Marvel now. He might go to Marvel now. That's what he's putting out there. And I'm going to call this, instead of the Snyderverse, the Gunverse. So we'll see what happens in the Gunverse.
Oh, I like
Everybody,
that.
Ooh.
What do you think about this out there? Would you keep Ezra Miller? Would you have the balls to fire The Rock? Let us know.